And I spoke yesterday about the new proposal and basically saying everyone's talking about, oh, the revenue split is the same, the revenue split is the same. Look, if that's what it comes down to, there would be the players would already be striking. If it comes down to not budging on the rev split situation,
that uncertainty you just heard. That's where we are right now with the WNBA season. We're sitting in this bizarre limbo where nobody knows if there's even going to be basketball in May, and the clock is ticking. All-Star Weekend is Saturday. That's 5 days away. 5 days to figure out if this league plays or if we're watching the first work stoppage in WNBA history.
And it still wouldn't get passed. At the end of the day, though, they did offer an extra $50K per player. And I don't think the league are going to accept this proposal, by the way. But my guess is the league are going to come back and say, okay, and instead of talking about split percentages and everything, say 7 million. 7 million. All they're projected. When you're talking about, oh, we'll give you, this is your base and it can work up to this. No. What you say we can work up to, that's not our base salary. And push it up to 7 million.
Here's what's actually on the table right now. The league's latest proposal includes an extra $50,000 per player and improvements to housing and charter travel. Sounds decent on paper, but notice what he said. The revenue split structure isn't changing. That's the core issue. The players want a revenue-sharing model similar to what NBA players have. The league is saying that's structurally impossible, given how WNBA ownership works. So we've got an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force.
Per team, per team per year, I don't think the league is going to be, not the league's not going to push back on it. I don't think the league are going to say no, and I think it's going to be done. That would be my assumption. 50,000 more per player is pretty nice, well as extra housing, issues current rookie deals. Last year, the older players seem to touch on the contention issues, majority of low to mid-level players, which are the majority. My guess is that the WNBA explained they want better gross revenue share. That's not going to.
This is the reality nobody wants to talk about publicly. Adam Silver shut down the revenue-sharing conversation from day one, not because he's trying to suppress the women's game, but because the WNBA's ownership structure makes it legally complicated. The NBA owns approximately 50% of the WNBA. Individual NBA team owners own the WNBA franchises. That means any major structural change to how revenue gets distributed requires approval from NBA owners who have zero stake in the WNBA's success. Some of them actively want to cut their losses and shut the league down. They've been subsidizing it for 27 years, and they're tired of writing checks.
Not going to happen, and that is unfortunate for the players. But I do think in general that they can obviously go and look for more money, which I think they're going to do. The players have not responded with an inflatable rat. The players have not responded to this. And by the way, it is Monday. All-Star Weekend is Saturday. These players are not very good at keeping secrets, by the way. They're not very good at it. If they were going to strike at All-Star Weekend, we would know.
So where does this actually land? The league is currently offering a team salary cap around $5.6 million. The players initially pushed for $10 million per team. That's a massive gap, but watch what happens next. The smart money says the players come back with a counteroffer around $7 to $7.5 million per team. That would put the average salary around $600,000, with max contracts hitting $1.5 million. And here's the thing, for an extra $2 million per team per year, the league isn't going to let this season die.
And that final proposal is probably going to be, the league wants to pay $5.65 million. The players wanted 10, somewhere in the middle. Maybe 7 to $7.5 million. And that's something that I do believe that they can negotiate for. Because at the end of the day, if they try to argue what they believe they deserve.
Think about what he just said. If this proposal was completely unacceptable, the Players Association would already be flooding social media with outrage. They'd be organizing, they'd be making noise. That's what they do. Remember when they posted that entire thread about how the NBA is trying to hold them back, complete with angry emails to Kathy Engelbert? The WNBA Players Association is not known for their poker faces. They speak from the heart, sometimes before thinking it through strategically. The silence right now tells you they're negotiating, not preparing to strike.
Give up all future profits. They're just not, especially because these are multi-billionaires who are what you call it. These multi-billionaires who, like, you have to be have a certain time mindset to make as much money as they have in the first place. So I would love it if I thought, like, I'm absolutely on the players making every cent that they can. But I also think that the players not making any money and the league shutting down is going to prevent the players from making all.
This is the uncomfortable truth that hangs over every negotiation. The WNBA lost money for 27 consecutive years. The NBA subsidized it through all of that. The league only became profitable in 2024, driven largely by the Caitlin Clark effect and a massive spike in media interest. So when players argue they deserve a 50-50 revenue split like NBA players get, there's a counter-argument that's hard to dismiss. You're negotiating with people who funded losses for nearly 3 decades. These are billionaires who didn't become billionaires by being generous. They're not going to voluntarily give up future profits out of the goodness of their hearts, especially when some of them never wanted this league to exist in the first place.
Stretch. We are in the home stretch. We will probably know, it's the 9th of February. We would probably know by Friday week whether or not there's going to be a season. Because the players will, it's at the stage now where the players will strike. The players absolutely will strike. If, like, there's nothing done by then.
And this is what makes the next week so critical. We're now in the home stretch. By Friday of next week, February 14th, we're going to know whether there's a season or not, because if the players are going to strike, All-Star Weekend is when it happens. That's maximum leverage, maximum media attention, maximum pressure on the league. But if they were planning to strike this Saturday, we'd already know. The whispers would be everywhere. Reporters would have the story. The fact that we're still in negotiation mode, still hearing about proposals and counteroffers, suggests both sides think a deal is possible.
That all the NBA is trying to do is hold them back, and what else was it? And that was the same one where they said people are watching Alyssa Thomas. Like, sometimes they will post and say dumb shit. Sending angry emails to Kathy Engelbert. Like, what relevance is that? What relevance is that at all? But look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and hopefully we can start talking about free agency.
So let's game this out. What's the most likely scenario? The players reject this current proposal, but they don't reject it with a strike threat. They come back with that $7 million number. The league looks at the math. $2 million extra per team times 12 teams equals $24 million total, spread across a league that just became profitable, with expansion fees coming in from Golden State and other new markets, with a new media deal on the horizon. $24 million isn't going to kill this league. The owners can absorb that. The question is whether they're willing to. Here's where it gets interesting from a business perspective. The WNBA just signed new media deals with ESPN, Amazon, and NBC worth $2.2 billion over 11 years. That's $200 million per year, up from about $50 million annually under the old deal. The league is projecting significant revenue growth. Attendance is up. Merchandise sales are up. Caitlin Clark alone drove a 40% increase in overall league viewership. The Fever went from playing in front of 4,000 fans to selling out 17,000-seat arenas. This isn't charity anymore. This is a legitimate business with legitimate growth potential. But here's the owner's perspective, and it's not entirely unreasonable. They've been subsidizing this league since 1997. That's 27 years of losses. If you add it all up, NBA owners have collectively invested somewhere around $500 million to keep the WNBA alive. Now the league finally turns profitable, and immediately the players want a massive increase in compensation. From the owner's view, they're thinking, We funded your league through decades of losses, and now that it's finally making money, you want us to give up most of the profits. That's a tough sell. The players' counter-argument is equally valid. They didn't ask NBA owners to create a league with a flawed business model. They didn't ask to be paid poverty wages while playing in a league marketed as a professional sports organization. They're the product. Without them, there is no WNBA, and the recent explosion in popularity proves the product has value. The old model of treating the WNBA as a charity case is dead. This is a real league now, with real revenue, and the players want to be compensated accordingly. Both sides have legitimate points. That's what makes this negotiation so complicated. This isn't a simple case of greedy owners versus exploited workers. This is a legitimate business dispute about how to value a league that was unprofitable for 27 years, just became profitable, and now has uncertain but potentially massive growth ahead. How do you split revenue when you don't know what that revenue will be? How do you compensate players fairly while also compensating owners for decades of losses? The $7 million proposal is probably the sweet spot. It's not the 50-50 revenue split the players want, but it's a significant increase from current salaries. It puts WNBA players in the conversation with other professional athletes. A $600,000 average salary isn't NBA money, but it's legitimate professional athlete money. It means players don't have to go overseas in the winter. It means they can focus on basketball full-time. It means the WNBA becomes a legitimate career, not a side gig. And here's why the league probably accepts it. The alternative is worse. A strike kills momentum. The WNBA just had its best season in history. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and the 2024 draft class brought unprecedented attention. Paige Buchers is coming next year. Expansion is happening. Everything is trending up. A work stoppage destroys all of that. Casual fans who just discovered the WNBA in 2024 aren't going to stick around through a labor dispute. The momentum is gone, and momentum is everything in sports business. So watch what happens this week. If the Players Association comes back with that $7 million counter proposal, and the league accepts it, we'll have basketball in May. If the league digs in and refuses to budge beyond their current offer, we're looking at a strike. But my read on the situation, based on the lack of public outrage from the players, based on the continued negotiations, based on the fact that we're 5 days from All-Star Weekend and there's no strike authorization vote, is that both sides know where this lands. $7 million per team, average salary around $600,000, max contracts at $1.5 million, charter flights, better housing, improved marketing. That's the deal. And honestly, that's a win for everyone. Players get life-changing money and professional working conditions. Owners get labor peace and continued growth. Fans get to watch basketball. The WNBA gets to capitalize on its momentum, instead of squandering it with a work stoppage. Is it perfect? No. The players deserve a revenue-sharing model. But perfect is the enemy of good. And this deal is good enough to build on. You take the win now, you grow the league, and you renegotiate in 5 years when the revenue picture is clearer. Because here's the final piece that matters. This league is at a crossroads. The next CBA determines whether the WNBA becomes a major professional sports league or remains a niche product. The money matters, but the momentum matters more. Strike now, and you risk losing casual fans who just discovered women's basketball. Sign a deal, even an imperfect one, and you keep building. You keep growing. You keep proving that women's professional basketball is here to stay. So that's where we are. 5 days until All-Star Weekend. Two sides negotiating, a deal that's probably closer than the public rhetoric suggests. And a league that's finally, after 27 years, on the verge of becoming what it was always supposed to be, a legitimate, sustainable professional sports organization. What do you think happens? Does the league accept a $7 million proposal, or do they dig in and risk a strike? And if you're a player, do you take the guaranteed money now, or do you hold out for the revenue-sharing model you deserve? Let me know in the comments, because we're about to find out which side blinks first.